The steel cage looms, two rings merged into one battlefield, and the air crackles with the kind of tension that makes your heart pound before a single move is even thrown. This is Wargames, and Roman Reigns is coming back to reclaim everything he lost, bringing with him an alliance so unexpected that the entire wrestling world is still trying to process what they're seeing. If you haven't subscribed yet, you're missing the most intense wrestling coverage on the platform, so hit that button now because what's about to unfold will redefine everything you thought you knew about professional wrestling. Roman Reigns disappeared after losing his championship, vanishing like smoke after holding the title hostage for over 1,200 days, and the speculation was endless about where he went and what he was planning. The tribal chief doesn't just fade into obscurity without a reason, and when he finally emerged from the shadows, he didn't come back asking for a rematch or begging for another opportunity. He came back declaring war, assembling a team for the most brutal match structure WWE has ever created, and the name standing beside him read like a list of the most dangerous competitors ever to lace up boots. Cody Rhodes is right there with him, the man who ended Roman's reign at WrestleMania, the American Nightmare who finally finished his story and captured the undisputed championship. Their alliance doesn't make sense on paper because these two were bitter enemies just months ago, tearing each other apart in front of millions, but Wargames has a way of forcing strange partnerships when survival becomes the only thing that matters. CM Punk joins them, the most controversial voice in wrestling history, the man who walked away for nearly a decade because he couldn't stomach the politics and manipulation that infected the industry. Punk returned to WWE not for money or nostalgia but to prove he still belongs at the top, and teaming with Roman Reigns creates a powder keg of tension because Punk doesn't trust authority figures and Roman embodies everything Punk spent years criticizing. These two circling each other inside a steel cage while trying to cooperate against a common enemy is going to produce moments that either solidify this team or blow it apart from within. The Usos complete the roster, G and Jimmy, the greatest tag team of their generation, the enforcers who stood by Roman through his entire tyrannical reign. Their relationship with Roman fractured when G finally broke free from the psychological manipulation, fighting for his independence and his own identity separate from the tribal chief's shadow. So why would they reunite with the man who controlled them like puppets for years? Blood runs deeper than resentment, and when war is declared, family finds a way to stand together even if old wounds haven't fully healed. The opposition they face isn't just another team thrown together for storyline purposes. This is a collection of rage and destruction, 5 men who each carry personal vendettas and enough fury to level entire buildings. Brock Lesnar stands at the center of this chaos, the beast incarnate, the most physically dominant force WWE has ever witnessed. Brock doesn't wrestle, he hunts, he breaks people for sport, and his presence in Wargames transforms the match from competitive violence into something approaching legitimate danger. There are no rules that can contain him, no strategy that neutralizes raw power of that magnitude, and the thought of Brock Lesnar with unlimited freedom inside a steel cage with weapons scattered everywhere should terrify every person who steps through those doors. He will suplex opponents through cage walls, he will hoist bodies off the top of the structure, and he doesn't care about winning as much as he cares about creating carnage that people will remember forever. The vision represents calculated brutality, a mind that sees 6 moves ahead while everyone else is still processing the current situation. He's been building something in the shadows, recruiting allies, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike at Roman's legacy. The Vision doesn't want just victory, he wants to dismantle everything Roman built and prove that the tribal chief's dominance was built on manipulation rather than genuine superiority. His presence adds a psychological element to the physical violence because he'll be targeting weaknesses in Roman's team, exploiting tensions between Punk and Reigns, pushing pressure points until something breaks. Drew McIntyre brings pure Scottish fury, a warrior who has been held back and overlooked despite possessing every tool necessary to be the face of the company. Drew was WWE champion during the pandemic, robbing him of his moment in front of packed arenas, and the bitterness from that stolen opportunity has been festering ever since. He's not fighting for glory or championship opportunities anymore, he's fighting to reclaim what was taken from him, and if that means going through Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes or anyone else who stands in his path, Drew will claim or kick them into oblivion without hesitation. Logan Paul's inclusion seems bizarre until you recognize what he brings to this environment. The YouTube star turned wrestler has proven himself more capable than anyone expected, showing genuine athleticism and a fearless willingness to attempt high-risk maneuvers that veterans avoid. Logan doesn't follow traditional wrestling logic, he doesn't respect hierarchies or unwritten rules, and his chaotic energy might be exactly what his team needs when predictability goes out the window. He wants validation from a wrestling world that still sees him as an outsider, and Wargames gives him the platform to either prove he belongs or fail spectacularly in front of millions. The 5th member remains shrouded in speculation, adding another layer of uncertainty to an already volatile situation, but whoever steps into that cage will need to match the intensity of the 4 men already committed to this battle. Wargames operates on a structure designed to maximize suffering. 2 rings sit side by side, surrounded by a steel cage that reaches high above, trapping everyone inside with nowhere to escape. The match begins with 1 person from each team, and every 5 minutes another competitor enters based on predetermined intervals, creating advantage periods where one team outnumbers the other. No disqualifications means weapons aren't just allowed, they're encouraged, expected, celebrated. Steel chairs, tables, kendo sticks, chains, anything that can inflict damage becomes fair game. The cage itself transforms into a weapon as bodies get thrown against unforgiving steel, faces scraped across chain link, and the violence escalates beyond what regular match stipulations permit. Victory only comes through submission or surrender, forcing someone to verbally quit or tap out in front of the world, which for competitors with egos this massive might never happen voluntarily. Roman Reigns in this environment becomes something beyond his usual dominance. The man who made legends tap out, who forced even The Rock to acknowledge him, now has unlimited freedom to wage war without restrictions. His entire identity centers on control, on making people bend the knee, on proving he's the head of the table no matter what circumstances arise. Losing at Wargames doesn't just mean a lost match, it shatters the mystique he spent years building, reduces him from the tribal chief to just another competitor who couldn't deliver when everything was on the line. Cody Rhodes faces similar pressure because beating Roman at WrestleMania was monumental, but skeptics still whisper that Roman was tired, distracted, vulnerable. Wargames eliminates every excuse and every asterisk. If Cody survives this alongside Roman, nobody can question his legitimacy ever again, but if he's the one who submits or quits, his championship reign starts with permanent doubt attached. CM Punk needs this victory for redemption after his previous run ended in disaster and his WWE return generated mixed reactions. Wargames gives him the opportunity to remind everyone why he calls himself the best in the world, why his absence left a void that nobody could properly fill. If Punk secures the victory, if he's the one who makes Brock Lesnar or Drew McIntyre tap out, his legacy gets cemented forever beyond any debate. The Usos are fighting for respect and recognition as warriors in their own right rather than extensions of Roman's empire. Even as tag team champions, people viewed them as the tribal chief's enforcers, and Wargames is their chance to prove they don't need Roman's shadow to legitimize their success. They'll sacrifice their bodies if necessary to establish their independence while simultaneously proving their loyalty to family. Brock Lesnar fights because destruction exists in his DNA, no complex motivation required. He is violence personified, and Wargames gives him permission to unleash everything without consequence. The Vision fights to prove intelligence defeats brute force, that his strategic philosophy is superior to Roman's manipulation. Drew McIntyre fights for revenge against a system that held him back, and everyone on the opposing team represents something he despises about WWE's power structure. Logan Paul fights for validation in a world that refuses to take him seriously as a legitimate competitor, and this match serves as his crucible to either earn respect or confirm every doubt critics have expressed. The confrontations inside that cage will create moments wrestling fans discuss for years. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar have destroyed each other multiple times, but never in Wargames where rules vanish completely. Their battles were always contained within standard match structures, but now they can unleash everything without restraint. CM Punk and Logan Paul represent a culture clash between old-school wrestling values and new-wave celebrity crossover, two worldviews colliding violently inside steel walls. Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre both believe they should be the face of WWE, but only one can truly hold that position, and Wargames will determine who deserves it. The Vision strategizing against Roman Reigns becomes high-speed chess surrounded by chaos, two master manipulators trying to outthink each other while bodies fly and weapons swing. The Usos will be tested like never before, their ability to coexist with Roman after fighting so hard for independence put under maximum pressure. Can they follow his leadership again, or will old wounds resurface in the heat of battle? The entrance intervals create psychological torture because being the first person in the ring means knowing you'll soon be outnumbered and overwhelmed. The team that enters second every time constantly plays catch-up, constantly defends rather than attacks, fighting from behind throughout the match. Advantage periods create momentum swings that could change everything in seconds, turning potential victory into desperate survival. The finish will be absolute chaos because someone has to quit, someone has to tap out, someone has to verbally surrender in front of millions watching worldwide. For men with egos this massive, that's worse than losing, that's humiliation, that's admitting weakness to a degree that damages reputations permanently. Does the beast incarnate tap out, destroying his aura of invincibility? Does the tribal chief surrender, shattering the mystique he built over years? Does CM Punk quit, proving every critic right about his return? Does Cody Rhodes submit, validating every doubter who questioned his WrestleMania victory? The psychological warfare involved in forcing any of these men to surrender might prove more difficult than the physical violence required to break their bodies. Weapons will be plentiful, scattered throughout both rings and around the cage structure. Steel chairs will crack against skulls, tables will shatter under bodies thrown from height, kendo sticks will leave welts across backs and chests. Chains become instruments of torture, and the cage itself transforms into the most dangerous weapon of all. Bodies will be thrown into steel repeatedly, faces grated against chain link until blood flows, bones will fracture under impact, and the violence will escalate beyond what casual viewers expect. This isn't entertainment for people with weak stomachs, this is warfare disguised as sport, and the competitors will push boundaries of what human bodies can endure. Alliances will be tested under fire because stress reveals true character. Will CM Punk and Roman Reigns maintain their uneasy partnership when violence reaches peak intensity? Will the Usos truly follow Roman's leadership, or will they seize the opportunity to finally prove they don't need him? Can Cody Rhodes trust any of these men when survival becomes the only thing that matters? The opposition faces similar questions because Brock Lesnar doesn't play well with others, Drew McIntyre's fury might make him attack teammates if they get in his way, and Logan Paul's unpredictability could help or hurt depending on the moment. The Vision's strategy only works if his team follows the plan, but controlling Brock Lesnar or Drew McIntyre when blood starts flowing might prove impossible. Survivor Series is going to change everything in ways we can't fully predict until that cage door locks. Legacies will be defined by who survives and who breaks, by who stands tall and who gets carried out on a stretcher. Bodies will be destroyed in pursuit of victory, and when the cage door finally opens, when the survivors limp out battered and bloodied, the landscape of WWE will never be the same. This isn't just another match filling time on a pay-per-view card, this is history being written in blood and steel. This is the moment that gets referenced for decades when people discuss the most brutal contests ever staged. The road to Survivor Series ends in Wargames, and the anticipation has reached levels rarely seen in modern wrestling. Fans around the world are counting down hours until these 10 men enter the demonic structure and unleash everything they've been holding back. Roman Reigns returning to reclaim his throne, Cody Rhodes defending his legitimacy, CM Punk seeking redemption, the Usos fighting for respect, facing Brock Lesnar's raw destruction, the Vision's calculated brutality, Drew McIntyre's Scottish fury, and Logan Paul's chaotic unpredictability. The combinations of personalities, the clash of egos, the personal vendettas all converging inside a steel cage with weapons and rage create something beyond normal wrestling competition. Nobody is walking out the same person they walked in. War Games changes everyone who participates, leaving physical scars and psychological wounds that never fully heal. The question isn't whether violence will occur, that's guaranteed. The question is who can endure the most punishment, who can push through pain and exhaustion, who has the mental fortitude to continue fighting when their body screams to quit. The question is who survives when survival requires sacrificing everything you have. The cage door will lock, the bell will ring, and 10 of the most dangerous men in WWE will go to absolute war, creating moments that define careers and reshape the entire industry. This is War Games, this is Survivor Series, this is the collision we've been waiting for, and when it's over, we'll know who truly deserves to stand at the top of professional wrestling. If you want to be part of this community that breaks down every incredible moment, every shocking twist, every brutal exchange, then subscribe now and join thousands of fans who refuse to miss a single second of wrestling history being made right before our eyes.